HarperAudio New Zealand presents The Meaning of Trees, written by Robert Vennell and read by Robert Vennell. For Lizzie. Preface. I have always loved New Zealand's plants. As a child, I would spend hours with friends wandering through small patches of forest, trying to get lost, building forts out of Nico fronds, and trying to catch eels with spears crafted out of lancewood. Sometimes we would try to survive off the bush, drinking the nectar of harakeke flowers and chewing the salty beads of Neptune's necklace between our teeth. Then came the ultimate test, to see whether our survival shelters could withstand an enemy raid. We armed ourselves with the strongest and longest flak sticks we could find, and waged a campaign of guerrilla warfare on rivals' camps. After our enemies had been vanquished, the battlefield was littered with hundreds of broken flak sticks strewn in our wake. The seeds of this book were first planted later on in life when I set myself a challenge to eat my way through the New Zealand forest. Equipped with Andrew Crow's fantastic A Field Guide to the Native Edible Plants of New Zealand, I would head into the forest on treasure hunts to locate and eat all of the edible leaves, berries, shoots and roots I could find. Wandering far off track and sleeping out in the bush, I've managed to eat almost every edible plant in New Zealand, except for a few poisonous or endangered species. While some of our native plants taste great, many leave a lot to be desired, and so I would often challenge myself to make delicious, gourmet plant feasts. A typical menu might consist of a sampling platter of native berries, followed by a main course of mock kiridu, chicken marinated in miro, Promnipetus ferruginea berries, and sautéed woodier fungus with a salad of roasted mamaku and bush asparagus. Then, to top it off, a dessert of upside-down pudding with kahakaha berries and a horopito hot chocolate. When I first started this journey to eat all of the native plants of New Zealand, the forest was mostly a blur of overlapping shades of green. Other than the iconic plants I already knew and loved, most of the trees were still a mystery to me. So I set to work familiarizing myself with all the fascinating and interesting ways New Zealand plants have been used throughout history. Very soon, the forest began to come alive. Bushwalks became like trips to the library or the museum, and the plants became characters from history, all with a story of their own to tell. Bursting with excitement for these incredible creatures, I decided to share what I had learned. In between my lectures at university, I set up a blog called The Meaning of Trees, meaningoftrees.com, where I wrote about the history and uses of our native plants. At the time, I did not expect anyone beyond a few friends to read it, but slowly it began to develop a name for itself, with a following from New Zealand and around the world. Pretty soon, even my lecturers began referencing it in class. I was absolutely blown away by the response, and it confirmed my belief that there is a real thirst and interest out there for learning about the natural world. You just need to show why it matters. This book is a compilation of everything I have learned from my research and experimentation with native plants. My goal in writing it is to get more people excited about and interested in our native flora. For me, learning about the history and uses of our native plants opened up the forest and made it come alive with meaning. I hope this book will do the same for you. Robert Vennell, July 2018. How this book is organized. The book begins with a brief introduction to the story of plants in New Zealand, looking at how they have shaped our history and our identity, then delves into the plants themselves, how they have been used, how they have been viewed, and the origins of and meanings behind their names. I have grouped the plants based on their most interesting features, the dominant way they have been used by people, or where you are most likely to find them. Many of the plants could justifiably belong to several of these groups, but I aim to place them in the group that seemed the most fitting. This is just one lens to view the forest. There are, of course, many others. Rongoa rako, plants that have been used for medicine and healing. Bush kai, plants that have been important sources of food. Jurassic giants. Cody and the podocarps, ancient plant families with a long history in New Zealand. Trees of the gods, plants that serve as powerful symbols or have had important ceremonial uses. Traveller boer, climbing, sticking and stinging plants that frustrate and annoy. Fringe dwellers, plants commonly found around the coast and seashore. Botanical oddballs, weird and unusual looking plants with bizarre flowers and growth forms. When deciding which plants to include, I prioritized the interesting and unusual, and preferred to focus on plants that have the most diverse, exciting stories to tell. The process of selection was quite organic.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?